Well, we're up to 12, so that's pretty good.
Okay, Kim said she was at work till 6 and would join us at 6:30. So maybe Andrea has to start the meeting.
Okay. All right. Believe it or not, Andrea, I think we have everybody.
Well, I'm going to open the meeting at 6 o'clock and trust in Dr. G to get us started.
Okay. Well, the first agenda item is a update regarding our response. And the first thing under that is our online instructional program. I'm going to ask Susan, who's done a huge amount of work to get all this up and running. So, Susan, can you explain a little bit about our online program that we sort of finalized today?
I would be happy to. Also, Denise Doolittle is on the phone, and she's done a lot of heavy lifting with the special education piece, which is really very comprehensive. And Lori Lapine also ensuring that all staff have a plan. Every member of our staff is really included. So it's really been an awesome team process. As we started, we talked to you about our motto is go slow and grow. So our mission's always teaching and learning, but it was really important that we did this right out of the gate and we took our time to do it right and make sure that all the securities were in place for our students, most importantly. So the first phase, as you know, when we thought we were closing the school for 2 weeks, was something called supplemental learning. And on the Teachers PD Day in March, they put together some wonderful plans for kids, very engaging. And the kids have really been working on that for the past 2 weeks. It was not a graded thing. It was bonus and extra credit work, and a lot of kids participated. As we launched this distance learning, we have a distance learning plan and a brief, which is going to be posted on the website, should be posted, has been sent out to all staff. And in addition to that, we've worked really hard this week with attorneys, with teachers, with the teachers union, the administrators, to make sure that when we go live with what we call video conferencing, we do this in a really safe and secure way. So a robocall or a school messenger is going out from Dr. Grenier with the help of Joyce, and it will include a parent letter for the parents to understand this whole process with video conferencing, which would involve, it could be one child, a small group, it could be a whole classroom. And it's very interactive. It's an optional piece for our teachers to be able to do. Many have already done some pre-recording. Some of you even saw the wonderful messaging from our Fitch High School staff going out to families. Is so encouraging. And so I think each school is planning on doing something like that. We have to be role models in this social distancing thing. So as much as we'd love a parade, we just are afraid that it would bring kids out of their homes and into the streets and with each other. So that's something that down the road might happen, but we definitely are sending them our love and cheers virtually. So that is going to take place. So we're very excited about this. It's a way also for all kids to be able to have that connection with their classmates and their teacher. But especially for our special education kids and the kids receiving tutoring or SRBI support, to have those small group and to have their speech language lessons, through video conferencing. So that's where we are right now. Included in this plan for this phase 2, which we are in, eventually will include things like professional development for our paras, our tutors, our student teachers, are, a lot, and even our teachers. So but we're going slow till we get there, and we're starting a little bit at a time. I think by the end of this month, we have a few schools participating in Teachers College embedded coaching with Michael Ray Grant, who's fabulous. And all of our Teachers College staff developers have sent out information for teachers on distance learning and what they can do. So right now, it's really good that kids are getting on, and we're watching and monitoring participation. I don't know if Denise would like to add anything to that, or Lori would like to add anything to it. They are on, and they've been instrumental in helping and assisting me along with all of my colleagues. The compacting of the curriculum was another piece that I felt was done so well. and we're doing it, week to week, and they're meeting with the the groups that are in place, whether they're departments or grade levels. And so it's been a really thoughtful process, I have to say. I'm very proud, Groton proud. So Denise or Lori, did you want to add too?
Sure, I'll go first. Thank you, Susan. It's really been an interesting couple weeks, but I feel like every day we're getting closer and closer, and we are trying to do our best for our students. It's going to look different for different students depending on their needs. But we've been working on some distance learning guidelines that are for staff, parents, and students. And we really believe that this will be the foundation from which our distance learning program will be launched and will be successful. It's very important that everyone know some of the online etiquette in terms of how to participate in a virtual lesson. And there's obviously some information we need to share with parents in terms of students being grouped together into a small group. So we've been working really hard on that. It's ready to go, and we're really looking forward to the next phase.
Mike.
Lori, yeah, go ahead, Rita.
I have a couple of questions. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. For Denise, are paras being involved with the students to give them extra help?
We actually have a subcommittee that's working on developing a plan for the paras, and Heidi Hallisey and our Treehouse staff are in the committee. We're focusing right now on developing a professional development plan so that the paras and the tutors, the skills that they need to support the students on the virtual lesson plan or on the virtual lesson. Paras won't be interacting independently with students because we do need to have that supervision in place, but paras will be joining lessons with teachers to provide support and to provide encouragement and and some redirection with students.
Okay, so are all the paras still online with the students? In terms of, here, let me take this out. I was thinking more in terms of, we haven't laid anybody off, have we?
No, none of them have been laid off, and we are in the process of doing professional development and assigning them via case managers, and it's there are 195 paras, so it's a bit of a chore right now, but we're making our way. But no paraprofessional has been laid off.
Okay.
Yeah, Rita, we're trying to ascertain who has a device at home and who has internet so that they can start to participate in these activities. So we have another meeting tomorrow where we'll get an update, but we're definitely working to involve the paras as much as possible, because we feel that that's very important for the students and the paras. And there are things, I was talking to an ABA teacher today who's using a website called Screencastify, and she's going to have her paras record stories. So, to really help her get some of this done, because it's, they need help. So the paras will be recording a story, and then they'll be sending the recording to the teacher so the teacher can preview it and approve it and then upload it to Google Classroom.
Could the board also receive the guidelines you're going to be sending out for distance learning?
Absolutely.
And Dr. Grenier, then Susan, the parent letter that's going home, because we don't get those recorded calls at all, so we wouldn't know about them. So
Sure.
the letters and so forth.
Yeah,
Thank
I'll get
you.
to you tonight.
Denise and I actually talked about that, Rita. It's funny that you mentioned it, because we were saying, we need to get this out to the board
Yeah, thank
right
you.
away, because I want to see all of this.
So when students need speech, and if they're having their speech teacher, do they work in a group to do that? Or is it one-to-one?
Sure. So right now it's one-to-one because we're using Google Classroom, and the students cannot be together in the same Google Classroom because of confidentiality issues. So FERPA, as you may be aware, has been relaxed. there's been flexibility given by the federal government to relax the FERPA guidelines. So part of the letter that Dr. Grenier is going to be sending out is a notification to parents that we would like to proceed with grouping students together, and that we feel it's very important, though, that we notify parents first and give them the option to opt their child out if they would like their child to remain in a classroom by themselves or be seen individually, or if they'd like us to deliver the instruction via alternative means. We will have that discussion with the parent.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So any,
Does Lori want to add anything else about ensuring that all staff is, has their roles and responsibilities?
Hi, sure. I'll just add on to Denise's feedback. We've really spent a considerable amount of time just going through group by group of employees, making sure that we have laid out a work plan for them, that we have assignments laid out, that we have professional development lined up for them. So we've really been, certainly last couple of weeks, the priority were the students first, but the staff know that they were just as much of a priority for us. We were working on that simultaneously and in collaboration with a lot of team members. A lot of people are participating in those discussions, making sure that those plans get identified. We're sharing those plans across various virtual platforms, whether we're having virtual phone calls, we're circulating documents on Google Doc, and engaging the union leaders. And they've been wonderful as well, as far as how are we going to engage all these individuals. And I think we've come up with a lot of really good ideas and a lot of really good plans on how to accomplish this over the next several months.
Thank you.
so let me, I know that Kim, can you unmute, please?
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay, Gretchen, go for it.
I had a teacher contact me, and she spent from 6 o'clock last night to 9:30 trying to get a parent online so her computer would go. I don't know if that's common with the parents, but we need to make sure that our teachers are not spending umpteen million hours getting their parents squared away so kids can learn.
Yeah, this has been a difficult journey. I can tell you. Dennis, could you talk a little bit about the computer business distribution, hotspots, and the hotline, please?
Sure. We've rolled out approximately 2,500 Chromebook devices to students over the past basically 2.5 weeks. We have developed an online form and an online our phone number that parents can call and leave a voicemail that then is picked up, and then created a work order request for it. Today we finished establishing a remote support tool system that we can reach out to teachers to help with redoing installations or installing software that may need to be happen. So we are working to get everyone up and running. We also have approximately 130 hotspots on order. When we receive those have been indicated by building principals and their parents who do not have sufficient internet access at home. And we will start distributing those as soon as we get them in, as soon as they arrive. Unfortunately, due to the demand on these devices, there is a little bit of a lag, about a week and a half, 2 weeks before we do receive them. And we'll start distributing those as quickly as we can.
We have also staffed the central office. Dennis has, and we have continued to give out Chromebooks. People come into the vestibule, and the tech staff has packaged up Chromebooks, and we continue to give them out. I was a little amazed to hear that we gave out 2,500. This is really quite remarkable.
On average at central office, we're on average about 25 per day is what we're still handing out. And we have, like Dr. Grenier said, we have a tech on site between 9 and 11 a.m. to support anyone who maybe have a damaged device or needs to replace a device or it needs an additional device or hasn't received one yet. It's a pretty simple process. They come in, they fill out a quick form so we can track it, and we assign it to them in our inventory system. And then they're off on their way and they log in and go home. One of the areas we did struggle with a little bit was with our the special grade levels like pre-K, K, and first grade, mostly because those students were not logging in school. So we have worked with the Media Center people to reach out to them to help instruct them to log in. So they are providing information and support if need be. The parent can email that building's Media Center person if they require some assistance. We're using that process just because they're already familiar with the Media Center person in the building, and it usually takes a little bit longer to walk the student through it for the first time, but they're picking up pretty quickly, and that seems to be pretty successful as far as getting those students logged in.
And if I could just add that we have also handed out iPads to students who can't access their learning on a Chromebook. The principals have been great because we're using the newer iPads because they're able to run the apps better than some of the iPads that the students are using for a reinforcer. And we've also contacted every single out-of-district placement to be sure that every single out-of-district student has a device and has a distance learning plan. And several of them have picked up devices as well.
Denise, I have a question for you. So Denise?
Yes.
How are you? It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
So those IEPs for, I mean, we've got some pretty difficult students, and virtual learning is not, it's just not accessible. What is the plan? What is the federal plan around that? And how cooperative has your team and parents been around some of those more challenging kiddos? And I'll go off the line.
So the guidance we've received is that we need to provide access to the students to their IEP to the greatest extent possible. So with that said, that has been our mantra. And we've been very fortunate that so many programs are providing free access during the period of school closure. So there's a program that's put out by Teachtown. It's an at-home ABA program. And we do use the Teachtown program in our Transition Academy. We have the Transition to Adulthood program that we purchased with a grant last year. So I do have a connection at Teachtown, and they've given us 45 free licenses for at-home ABA programming that the ABA teachers were really on board with. They took a look at the platform, they liked it, and it's launched. They actually had it launched before today. So that's working very well. We have a documentation log because part of our world revolves around documenting supports that have been provided and monitoring progress. So the teachers have a Google Sheet and they have a tab at the bottom in their folder for each student, and they're going in and they're recording contacts that they've made with the parent or the student. It could be either, depending on the functioning level of the student. And they're recording a summary of the contact and then a brief progress note. So those are logs that we'll use when school opens to review whether or not a student was able to make progress on all of their goals and objectives. We know that there will probably be some that they will not be able to make progress on, and we're waiting for guidance from the state in terms of what that will look like. So they're asking us not to use the term compensatory education, because that really means that the district has either not done something that they were supposed to do or made a mistake. So we're not sure what it will look like when we come back, but we're working really closely with our leaders at the state to be sure that we have a plan for moving forward in terms of when school resumes.
Thank you.
I had a quick question.
Yeah,
Kim?
Rita, can I just make sure that there's other people from the board that also would like to ask a question? Are there other members of the board who have questions before Rita goes?
I do.
Okay, besides Gretchen, because Gretchen, you
I
both
talked already.
have had a chance. Liz? All right, Rita. So Rita and Gretchen.
My question is, how is it working for the 18 to 21-year-olds? What are we doing? Are we doing something different for the 18 to 21-year-old population?
So luckily, all of those students have a Chromebook that they use every day. And their teacher, both Miss Iovino and Miss Haggerty, have reached out to each student. They have a Google Classroom. They have a schedule of activities that they do every day in the classroom. A lot of them revolve around Time for Kids, CNN News. They have the Transition to Adulthood program that they're working on, and the teachers are also assigning additional lessons through Google Classroom. So for them, it's been a little bit easier because they use the Chromebooks and they use these programs, daily.
That's great. Thank you.
Gretchen.
Hi, yes. I know the high school has a 1-to-1 Chromebook. I forgot what the ratio for middle school is, and then we have the elementary kids. Are we using like last year's seniors Chromebooks, so the graduated Chromebooks? Are we using those? Where are the extra computers coming from, I guess?
Dennis, could you answer that?
Yeah, we've been building to a 1-to-1 K through 12. So some of the Chromebooks that we did hand out are still viable Chromebooks that the seniors had used at one point, but they're still perfectly functional units that we then distributed them out to the other schools and the other children who are looking for them.
But in answer to your question, Gretchen, we are prepared to give virtually every single student in the district a Chromebook.
Excellent. Just checking. Thank you.
It is amazing to me that what you guys have been able to do in the past 3 weeks. And I also want to make sure that there are board members who have questions to please speak, because I think it's important. This has really been our first time to kind of be together, though virtually, but be together. But I just am amazed at what your staff is able to do. But I'm just kind of wondering, and maybe you have already talked about that, so please move me along. But what are some of the things that haven't worked or unexpected places where you're finding it's been kind of clunky?
Well, let me, I've had, today we finished the elementary meeting, yesterday we had a secondary. But Kim, if I might, if anyone has a question, just send it in the chat. In the upper right-hand corner, there's looks like a little thought box, like from a cartoon. If you send a question, I'll cue you, Kim, when any board member wants to chime in.
Dr. Grenier?
We're all
on an iPad, I don't have that.
Oh, okay, then just yell.
Okay.
Okay, so in answer to your question, Kim, when we had the meeting today with the elementary folks, the overwhelming majority, it was very, very positive, but the overwhelming majority of the 6 principals said in their school the rollout yesterday was very successful. The glitches have been there are some students who have not signed on yet, and so the principal and the teachers have reached out to those families, and in most cases they were able to at least make contact with the family and make sure they were all set. I know there are 20 families at Claude Chester and 20 families at Catherine Konowski that need the hotspot, and as soon as those hotspots come in, we will give them to the families and get them online. There are about maybe a dozen or so paras that are going to need computers, and even fewer of those need hotspots. So we're working on that. But I would say overall, it was really quite remarkable. Thanks for the hard work that we've done, as Dennis said, building to the 1-to-1. We are 95%. I won't say 100%. But 95% there towards this whole online learning, and then Susan has been heading up curriculum compacting teams, and so I know that's been going out, and the teachers are getting this information. And you want to talk a little bit about that compacting, Susan?
Well, the shout out goes to the administrators and our teacher leaders because they were the ones who got on with me in the beginning. And we actually, you can see it in the plan, the design of the curriculum compacting. It's really goes along with Renzulli and Reese's work at UConn. It's what do we know that they have already? What are the important things that kids need to know before the end of the year? And how are we going to streamline this so that we are able to instruct around those major priority standards and make sure all have access to this learning. So that's when the regular ed teacher works with the special ed teacher and they're able to support their classrooms or their, whether it's an elementary classroom, a middle school classroom, or a high school classroom. So their plans are appearing on these curriculum documents that we have, these compacting documents, and they're tweaking it along the way. I said they didn't have to fill in the whole thing to kind of get an idea of what those priority standards are in each discipline, but then to start laying it out, we have like 3-week chunks of units, 3 weeks and then another 3 weeks for a 6-week period. And then that'll complete phase 2. And then we have another whole section to do for phase 3 should we need it. So, and they keep meeting every week to kind of adjust. So whether it's the department at the high school or the middle school or an elementary grade level, and those are headed by our principals and assistant principals. So I'm really proud of the work that's getting done. And I think it's going to be the essential work that needs to get done for all our kids.
Kim, the other thing, when we went through both the secondary meeting and the elementary administrator meeting, I specifically asked people about how it was going in their home with their children, and that's the other point that we have to be very careful with. That some of the people are being sort of pulled in so many different directions that we know, especially having scheduled online meetings. Well, we're not quite ready with that, but I can tell you from my own family, it's difficult when the teacher says I'll be on at 10 and then 10:30 and then 11:45. In some cases, it's impossible because kids have to be in 2 places at the same time. And for example, Ted Keller was saying his children they were supposed to follow their regular schedule, so they had 9 o'clock class meeting they had a math meeting at 9, say that was their first period class, and second period class was at 10. And he said they did that for 2 days and the whole thing fell apart. We need to be more flexible. And I can tell you also from my family, my grandchildren, the teachers have been very accommodating. So they call, they send emails, they do what they need to do. There's a lot of quality tutoring going on, and assignments are going out. And then I'll just end with the probably the biggest glitch of all. The Schoology crashed yesterday nationwide.
Oh my gosh.
And so did Seesaw, the elementary program. So Dennis, do you know what's the status with Schoology?
The last I checked, Schoology is back online. Everything is green checked, but of course it's sort of after hours. The only people who are still online were the West Coast folks at the time that was green. Okay. So I'm hoping that they fix their problem and we'll be fine for tomorrow.
And that, by the way, is why we couldn't have a Zoom meeting today. We were all set with the Zoom. Dennis had the right information, the credit card information, and when we called Zoom, they said we'll get back to you. Dennis was thinking that meant like a 2-hour delay. I think obviously it was more than a 2-hour delay. So,
I'm still on hold.
Yeah. So there are issues, but I see that Lori wants to weigh in. Kim, is that okay?
Yep.
Lori?
Hi, yeah, Mike. I just wanted to add another thing that we've been thinking about and planning for which hasn't really started yet, is what are we going to do when individuals start to become ill, potentially? So we've been planning for that. We've had a lot of conversation. We've been following the new requirements that have come out. So I just wanted to put that out there. While we haven't really experienced that yet, it's definitely on our radar, and we've given a lot of careful thought about it. We've been making sure employees aren't feeling well, that they're staying home. We've been doing rotational schedules. So we've been doing a lot of things to limit exposure to one another during this time. So there's a lot of plans in place for that as well.
It's we had a conference call today with the commissioner, and he asked us all to put a continuation of operations plan together. Like, what's the plan when I get sick, and what's the plan when the principal gets sick, and all that sort of stuff. So we'll formalize those plans. But you're right. When teachers get sick, we have subs, and when Dennis gets sick, if Dennis gets sick, we need backups for, none of us are indispensable. That's for sure. So
can I just follow up on that conference call that we had with the commissioners? So Mike and I have been meeting with the commissioner on a regular basis and his whole staff from the State Department of Education, the governor, and each time they give us so much good up-to-date information. And one of the things that's actually on the agenda is talking about state testing. So many things have been waived, relaxed, changed. And so I would say this whole accountability system is off for this year. Even Ajit spoke about attendance, and he said the attendance is only for when the child is sitting in the seat in the school. So we are not documenting the way we're taking attendance in Groton. And we took a little while to decide this, but this is why it's good to go slow, is to monitor students' participation. And then to reach out to kids to find out what is the reason what's holding them back from participating. So, and getting their feedback and seeing how they're doing and monitoring that along the way. So the way we understood taking attendance in Power School, the way we understood giving an SBAC test or an NGSS, it's going to be a boring year next year because I won't have all those slideshows to give you. We'll have other ways we can monitor kids. But so everything has been truly relaxed, even AP and IB and SAT. And we're holding off on SAT till we know everybody can come together and take a test like that.
So Susan, could you answer, Gretchen had some questions that were somewhat related to that. So one of them was a way for how are we monitoring success and grading the students. I think you kind of answered that. And then also her question is, how are subs trained?
Well, I can go back to Gretchen's question about monitoring it. We have some wonderful programs that we had purchased, like Dreambox and Lexia, and Newzilla. And in those programs, kids are asked to read or to do some math, and the software itself gives feedback to the teachers. So the teacher can see what lessons have been completed, what's been accomplished, what kids know, what kids don't know, and they're able, then it informs their instruction. So, and then there've been many softwares that have been provided for free. It still goes through me with curriculum and Dennis for, monitoring the compliance, but even the compliance has been relaxed a little. So whether they're writing in a journal or they're doing something online, the feedback is given back and forth to the teacher, and the teacher's able to see what the child needs help with and what they already have, what they really understand.
Thank you, Susan.
Was there a second part of her question?
Subs, how are the subs being trained?
So our building subs are with that group of paras and tutors, and they are really essential. So they're getting some professional development. They're being invited into classrooms. Should a teacher experience something in her family or with themselves, health-wise, then that building sub will be familiar with the programs we're using in the classrooms, and will be able to take that on. And there might be tutors too. Many of our tutors are retired teachers, so they could also play a significant role in that as well.
Thank you. Jay?
Yes, hi. I just want to make a quick observation. So I happen to have a student in the district, and I noticed that some of the teachers are actually taking attendance through Google Classroom. If they link Khan Academy, they can see the progress, and parents at home can have their child invite them to to look at their Khan Academy progress. So I know there's a lot of ways that they can monitor how all this is going on. And I know that each teacher might do it a little different way, but there are a lot of tools out there. And I've just been overwhelmed with the teachers that are using Remind, Schoology, Google Classroom, and the level of communication that's going on. And obviously the hard work being done by everybody from IT, provisioning all those Chromebooks and all the teachers. Everybody's really pulled together for, what is, I don't think anybody had a plan in place for this.
No, we've talked about it for 20 years, but it really did happen.
Kim,
Any questions from the board?
No. I have a question.
Could people say who they are when they're talking?
Oh, happy to. It's Gretchen.
Thank you.
Now I forgot what it's. Oh, is there any way we can see the lesson plans and like get a feel for what they're doing? Like, is there any way they could like give us a lesson and we have to do it so that we can get a feel for it? It's a teacher coming out.
Some examples of them, at a COW. I could show you what a Dreambox lesson looks like, or a Lexia lesson, or what the teachers are asking. They have a compacting guide, so I can share with you some of their thinking. But for every single, I could show you kind of an elementary, middle school, and high school.
Anything would be great. I just kind of want to feel for it, so that it's, it's the teacher and me. I need to play. I need to, yeah. Never mind. Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. This is Kim. Is there any other questions for the from the board on this topic of our distant online virtual learning?
I have more stuff, Kim. I would appreciate it, Sam, if you could explain a little bit, number one, about the food service program, the meals program, and number two, about the cleanliness in the schools and what we're doing.
Yes, sir. Good evening, all. So, food service has been serving meals or delivering meals in bags at 3 different sites, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the last couple of weeks. And last Friday, for the first time, they actually packed meals for the kids for the weekend as well. We're averaging about 1,800 kids, 1,800 packets a day. Friday's count went up closer to 2,200. So Friday was a pretty popular day. So those things are going on at those 3 sites. The library, West Side Middle School, and Mary Morrison School. I did hear that, I believe it was last Friday as well, that the police had to go to Mary Morrison because the line was so long it extended from the school all the way out to Route 12 on
Oh, God.
Wow.
Tollgate Road. So
Wow.
the staff's really working hard, and that program seems to be running really well. In addition to that, we talked previously, but the custodial and maintenance staff have been through the buildings, cleaning, sanitizing, disinfecting continuously. As we've had staff come in to pick different things up for their programs, they've gone behind them and continue to sanitize and clean. So the buildings are in excellent shape, and we'll continue to monitor that.
Hey, Sam, I got a question back to the food distribution. How is all that being paid for? I know it's an enterprise fund, but I mean, how is that happening? How are we able to do all that you're doing?
It's all going through the same programs, the federal and state programs. So just as if it were handing out that food at school. We've been able to get the congressman to agree that normally they have to be on site to get those, but Congress worked a deal so that the kids can get them remotely or picked up off site.
Okay, thank you.
Kim,
Yes, Rita.
I was wondering, could we have a fourth site so the lines aren't so long? I mean, that's
Well,
pretty.
I was at Mary Morrison today. It wasn't bad today, so I think we'll probably we'll take a look at it again this coming Friday, and we may have to double up the line coming into Mary Morrison or something like that if that's a problem.
Right. Thank you.
I see that Addie, this is Kim. I see that Addie has a question. Mike?
Oh, good. Hi, Abby.
Hi. I just had a quick question, whether video chats between students and teachers are allowed or possible.
Your parents and you will get a robocall from me this evening. We are in the process of setting it up, and we're gonna. There are some privacy concerns, but we're asking the parents. We're telling the parents what we're planning, and there are some parents who may not want their children to participate in a meeting like that. But unless they opt out, then we're gonna start doing it.
Okay. Also, I have one more question while I have the mic.
Sure.
Will we still have final exams for students? So not AP or IB, just regular classes. Will they have finals?
You know, we talked about that today with the commissioner. We're trying to get statewide uniformity on grading, and I know that the colleges, at least the state system, has agreed that they will accept pass-fail grades, which is, you know, not exactly the best way to do it, but we're not really sure, and we're trying to have a statewide solution. But I think the answer is the classes will continue, and there will be some sort of grading, and we're trying to we may even be able to get some sort of nationwide agreement that this is the way we're going to, especially for seniors, this is the way we're going to grade and report the transcripts of students. So I think we're probably about 2 weeks out, if I remember what the commissioner said, from having at least a strong recommendation of what to do. My sense is there'll be final assessments. I'm just not sure what they're going to look like.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Kim. Any other questions? Thank you so much, Dr. Grenier, keeping us updated on that, on all that stuff. And I know that it could look very different even tomorrow, just because it seems that this is still moving so quickly.
Yeah.
Kim, this is Jane with a question when you have a second.
All right, Jane, please go for it.
Yeah, I'm just concerned with some of the overly conscientious students right now who are concerned about whether or not they're meeting expectations while out of school. Would that be a consideration when they get back?
If I can, I'm very concerned with that, Jane. I know, like everybody else, I think there are parents who are home juggling their work and trying to help their kids, and there are kids at home trying to juggle at the high school 8 different courses online. And part of what we're trying to say, Susan's idea of let's take this at a slow pace and grow. We've tried to make that very clear to people, that this is expecting students to sit there. In fact, part of our guidelines is we're saying don't think about more than 3 hours a day, but we should not be expecting students to spend, and I know some of them are, 8-10 hours a day trying to do this stuff. And we're trying to get the word out to the teachers and to the parents and to the students. I'm gonna send a note to the parents tomorrow, similar to the one that I sent yesterday to the staff that I think you saw. That we just need to be patient with this whole process. And man alive, this has been a lot of new learning, and even for kids. I'd be interested to hear Addie or Zay weigh in on this. Even for kids who are pretty good with social media stuff, they're not necessarily good with a lot of some of these other distance learning things. Addie or Zay, do you have any comment about that?
Hi. I don't know if Zay wants to talk about this after, but I can just say my experience really quick. I've been talking to a lot of my friends recently just about like what we're doing. We have a lot of group chats right now about what the homework is for different classes. And I think it really depends on the teacher a little bit, on like the style of how they're giving us this information. So some teachers are really good about making everything easy to understand, easy to see where you submit it, when it's due, all this other stuff. I do know there's some teachers who are kind of new to this, like using it on this level. So sometimes it's kind of unclear when something is due. I think teachers are doing a pretty good job of when you reach out, they'll talk to you about that. I do know a lot of people also though who were having, I would say, some trouble with their class before, are now having more trouble. I have one friend who's in physics, and she was struggling with this a little before. She was getting some tutoring in school from other students, which is now harder for her to get. So she actually contacted me and was wondering about whether she could drop it now, because it's definitely been difficult for her since she has to teach herself part of it. So I think there's been a couple concerns about that. And I know for a lot of other like specifically math classes, there's a lot more teaching yourself and also using Khan Academy. And I think some students have been having trouble with that. And also I think some students aren't sure whether they can contact a teacher and be like, I can't do this, I don't know how to do this. So they've kind of been maybe overcompensating and doing a little more than they have to. So those are some concerns. If Zay wants to add anything.
I think you're exactly right. That's pretty much what I'm hearing. And when we go to this live in person tutoring, small group tutoring, I think that's going to help a great deal. But I'd be interested to hear what Zay thinks.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me? I don't.
Yep.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I've never done this before. It's very different. I'm not used to the whole online learning stuff, because normally I print all my things to turn it into my teachers. So it's like a different type of atmosphere. But so far it's okay. Like, we're getting stuff in on time. We all have group chats, like for my classes at least. I don't really know about other kids, but for like my classes, we all have our group chats where we're like, okay, so this is due then, this is due here. And then we're all like, okay, so let's do this now. So then we're all like on the same page. And if we all either have a question or something, we contact the teacher, and they're really good. Well, like speaking on my behalf, I know my teachers are really good about responding back fast enough. But is there, like, I just have a question real quick for Dr. Grenier or like anybody else that possibly knows. But is there like a way that we can try to have like all of the teachers make like an agenda or like a specific schedule for what they're expecting for like the next couple of weeks out from here on? So like, because I know from my English, Mr. Morth, Christopher Morth, I don't know, you guys probably know him, but he like set out a list until April 29th, just in case anything does happen. So like every B day that I have him, he has specific things that are due and that we need to have for our next class. Whereas some other teachers are just posting it the day of, and sometimes it like gets confusing because then we don't know when it's due or stuff like that. So I think that would kind of help things if we like have all the teachers set out a calendar where like things are due here and there.
I'll pass that on, Zay. I think that's a great idea.
Me
too. All right, thank you.
Kim, when I have a question when there's free time.
Go ahead, Rita.
My question is to Dr. Grenier or Susan. Are the physical education teachers providing any type of learning so students can maybe do some things and relax a little bit in between?
I can answer that. Yes, they have their classes, especially at the middle school and high school, and they are giving kids workouts or ways that they can kind of de-stress. As part of the elementary classroom, the elementary teacher invites in the art teacher and the music teacher and the PE teachers, so they're able to structure that day. And that's all part of this 3 hours of student learning. It needs to be broken up into breaks and time to read and time to do math. And there might be a little homework component to it, like a little extra reading or a little extra getting ready. I do like Zay's point about kind of giving, even if they could do a week in as a preview. So I think this week, once we muddle through this day, because I'm talking to you, and that I think that we'll be better at this and we'll be able to give kids a little better idea on what's happening for the week at least, so that and they know exactly what is due and what's expected. So I will pass that on with Dr. Grenier when we have our meeting.
Thank you.
I think it's a great way for students to get used to having syllabus. I mean, because if they go to school or further on their education, that's how it's going to be done. So I think that's a great idea, Say. Any other further questions from the board about this topic? This will not be our last time talking about it. But I know we had sort of like a flyby last week, but I just wanted to make sure that we are kept up to date as much as possible, because I know all of us are getting phone calls or whatever about how to handle things. So
I see Liz Porter, her hand is raising.
Oh, Liz, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. I just had a quick question. Can you hear me first of all?
Yes.
Because I'm on my phone. All right. I've had a couple of people who are not district people who have asked, what are we doing and can they access it? For example, my grandson does not have any schooling at all, been going on since the 13th of March. And his mother has asked, is there a way that we can see what Groton's third graders are doing, and so we know which way we're going? Is that an option, or is that just not in the realm of possibility, which is fine either way?
I actually have an answer to that question. When we started our supplemental learning, every school has a platform at every grade level, and you can see the plethora of lessons and ideas to keep kids actively engaged in learning. So tell your daughter and your grandson to get on our GrotonSchools.org website, and they could go to any of our schools. And there's actually some websites that are free of charge to families that are being highly recommended, books that are being highly recommended, digital books. So it's really, it's something I want to keep up with, you know, all along, even when we get back to face-to-face, because I think it gives parents a lot of different options and kids a lot of options of interesting things that they can learn about.
Thank you.
Good question, Liz.
Kim, I tried to do that. When I clicked on the school and the grade level that I was interested in looking at, unless you had an ID or having a child in the classroom, you weren't able to access that information. So I'm not
sure. You can't get on the Classroom Schoology site, but there are all these supplemental learnings by grade level that you can access. Anybody can access those.
Okay.
I can bring you samples, though, as Gretchen had recommended, and show you some of the things that are happening.
Yeah, thank you.
That would be great. Any other questions about this topic? All right, let's move on to the update on the Groton Middle School. Dr. Grenier?
Well,
is that Sam?
I can give you a quick, and then Sam maybe get some details. The quick great news is it is continuing, and they are on schedule, and are, in fact, they're so on schedule that they said perhaps in the summer, even if the furniture has not yet been delivered, like to the principal's office and to the guidance office, they'll move in the old furniture and then swap it out when the new furniture gets there. But they believe they're going to be ready by June.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind
That would
of
be awesome.
It's kind of please God, the work will continue. But I actually said to the chief engineer, Tammy Hanlon, like what happens if we're not ready? And I'm knock wood. She said that's not a possibility. We will be open on September 1st. But maybe Sam could chime in a little bit with more details if you know any.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I took a site visit yesterday. And the first thing that we had to do when we got to this to the job site trailer was to fill out answer some questions regarding our health and how we've been recently, so that if there were any indications that we were not feeling well, that then we wouldn't be allowed on the site. In addition to that, because the numbers are down of workers are down a bit over there, but it's mostly due to parents having to do childcare, swapping off with their wife or husband or partner and doing childcare. But the work is moving forward. And as Dr. Grenier said, it is on schedule. It really looks terrific over there, and things are moving along very well.
Wow.
They're actually hoping to start. If we get the word that school is out for the year, which I wouldn't expect too soon, but if we get that word, they would actually like to start the work at the demolition work at the middle school sooner than later. So we're Sam and I and Susan and the middle school principals. We're meeting with a moving consultant. And because we may in fact have to pack up everything, and like the kids have stuff in their lockers, and we would have to pack that up, and we'd have to pack the teachers' belongings up. This is the moving aspect of it is become much more complicated, unfortunately. But the building is right on track. I am very pleased and amazed.
Any questions from the board about that? Rita?
I drove up there yesterday to see if I could see some of the brickwork, and yes, you can from the parking lot at Fitch, which is wonderful. It looks great. My question is, I heard the governor today may make some further restrictions in terms of construction and some of the different things. So I'm hoping that that's not one of them.
Yeah.
But I had a quick question for Sam. When I was driving out, I glanced over at Fitch. I know this isn't middle school, but it's all part of that area. And Sam, there are these long black lines at the high school. Like it looks like it's coming off the roof onto the concrete parts, not onto the brick at all. I was just wondering if you knew what that was, and it really looks terrible. So when I was driving in and looked, and then I saw it again coming out. So I don't know if you know anything about that, Sam, or how they're going to fix it.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'll be more observant tomorrow, and I'll get an answer to you on that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Sam. Is there anyone else who has a question about the Groton Middle School construction project? All right. So let's move on to our 21 budget review. I don't know how many of us had the pleasure of attending the Tuesday meeting and the Saturday day meeting. And though I don't know all the specifics, but I think that the town council was really got very concerned about the COVID-19 and its impact on town employees, town manager, town staff, and worried about budget and making sure that there was a budget in place and all that good stuff. So they moved the budget process into into almost like a marathon run. And where they did last week, they did we got to do a presentation, and then on Saturday, we had a conversation with the town council, and they met for, I think, about 12 to 13 hours that day. And for those who don't know, they being the town council were really very concerned about what the COVID-19 was going to have on next year's budget and the economy, and really was asking for us to take a look at any savings that we were being made because of some of the things that we were not using or utilizing, and asked if that would whether we would have it so that they could bring our budget down to the minimum budget requirement, or MBR. And though what Dr. Grenier and I both said, we have not been able to meet because they were speeding up their process, which meant that we were not able to meet to have a conversation. But it did end up being that the town council has voted to bring our budget down to zero. And if you talk to Rita probably would have told you that they were going to do that anyways, because of COVID. But they have, and so that really kind of leads us into having some conversation. And I'm going to turn it over to Mike and to Ken about what we want to do and how we want to move from there, which then moves us. Which really kind of moves us into our other meeting that we're going to have, which is a negotiation meeting. And Rita, I know that you tend to like it to go to negotiation first and then to the committee of the whole. I just feel like fine. I just really feel like this is an issue, new times, that we need to have that. So it's the non-meeting is really a negotiation meeting, right, and that we're talking about some contracts, which will happen after the end of this meeting. Dr. Grenier, if you would like to take on the conversation about the budget review, that would be great.
Sure. Well, Ken, you're here, right?
Hello?
Well, yeah.
Oh,
I went out and came back in, so.
Good idea.
All right, sorry.
Ken, do you have that spreadsheet handy?
I do. Okay. I'm going to present it now. Let's see.
Oh, great. Perfect.
And right here. Okay. So the request was to look at the current year, FY20, to determine what kind of cost avoidance we might experience due to this crisis. And so what this first section right here is doing is trying to quantify what that would be. Did you want to say anything, Mike, or should I keep going?
No, just go right through it.
Okay.
Basically, Ken and I looked. There was a $495,000 proposed increase in our budget, and in anticipation of the thought of a zero, and frankly, we are not going to expend some of these funds. So we did a proposal to go down by 496, but to identify those things that we could purchase this year, which would take it out of next year's budget. So go ahead, Ken, please.
Exactly. So possible cost avoidance for this fiscal year is there will be some substitute teachers that we won't need to employ. We are paying for building subs who have regular schedules, but for those subs that don't have a schedule, that we quantified that to be about $150,000. The remainder of the salary account we anticipate we're going to need, but we'll have a better idea after this payroll of this week, once we see, when the dust settles. But there may be additional cost avoidance there, but at this point we're not anticipating any more from salaries. We're pretty close to the end of the snow season, so there's some additional snow removal funds that we don't think we're going to spend. We're anticipating a reduction in some of our utilities at our buildings in that they're not being utilized. for heating on natural gas and for electricity. For diesel and heating oil, those are both contracted. So we contracted a certain number of gallons for each. And if we don't use them, we will have to pay a liquidation cost, which will be less than the contracted cost. But so there could be some savings here, but it's not going to be a very big numbers, unfortunately. So the spring sports will more than likely not happen. So there will be some cost avoidance on the stipends and the expenses. This is an estimate of what those could be. It's a conservative estimate. So this might be more. We did talk about professional development in that we don't have folks going off to the different classes that we had anticipated. So, but we may or may not have any savings here, and that's why that shows 0 at this point. We had in our last review of the object code summary, we had 85,000 of unexpended funds anticipated. So we captured that 85. And then just to bring it up to the 495, we threw in a line here for underfunding health insurance reserve. This would be done at the end of the year if need be, but we could do that to bring us up to 495. We do have another line in here for curtain transportation. We have a contract with STA, which more than likely we're going to have to pay according to the federal act that just came out. But a question on curtain in that we don't contract buses, we just contract routes, and so that may or may not result in some cost avoidance.
I have a question, Ken. Wouldn't we have? I see in the heating oil and diesel. Wouldn't the diesel be a savings?
So we still have around 50,000 gallons of contracted diesel that we have not used, which we anticipated to use for the next 2.5 months. So in order to the contract, if it gets terminated without us using it, there's a liquidation charge. That liquidation charge is less than the contracted charge, but it's not a lot less, unfortunately.
Could you explain that to me? So let's say that we have of the $50,000 worth of diesel. Couldn't we just use that next year?
Well, no. The contract is for a period, is for taking those gallons within a certain period of time from July 1 of 2019 to June 30 of 2020. So if we can't take delivery of those within that period, it has to be liquidated.
And what would we get from the 50,000? Let's say, what would we get? Do we get like a reimbursement?
No. We would. Unfortunately, we have to pay a liquidation charge, and we wouldn't get any of those gallons.
Oh no!
Yeah, so yeah, it's a not win on that.
Yeah.
Can I just add with the PD? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
I just wanted to say that much of our PD expenses are occurring in grants, and we have fewer professional development opportunities in the actual budget, mostly for our district-wide professional development, which has already occurred in the year. So that 0 amount is probably pretty accurate that, but with the grants, we can kind of continue those on, most of those, so that we're not really losing anything.
Okay. Well, anyway, those are the potential, and I think that's very conservative. There will be other.
Yes. So then the next part of this is how can we help next year with this cost avoidance? And so we've come up with a list of some items that we could pay for this year's that would help out next year's budget. One of the easiest ones to do is all of our retirement severances are scheduled to pay in July of the new year. And we did this, I believe, last year. If we just accelerated those into June, we could pay them. We pay them early. The retirees don't mind that, and we can take that out of next year's budget. So that's 150 to about 160,000. That's actually a conservative number there. There's a piece of maintenance equipment, and we did this before a couple of years ago, I believe, with a truck, where we could purchase that equipment this year with this year's money and take it out of next year's budget. We could purchase custodial supplies this year and then alleviate our need next year for an amount.
About 50,000 from next year's budget.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
There are the bid list items, the pens and crayons and all that, as well as the copy paper. That's about 120 to 130,000 that we could pay for from this year, thus alleviating next year's budget. And once again, we could reduce our health insurance funding. I think the number that we are anticipating, there's room in there to reduce it another $100,000 to $200,000 perhaps.
So we figured out what we could reduce if we in fact purchase these things that are all legitimate. They're not services for next year.
Right.
Ken was really careful with this. If it's equipment or supplies or materials that you actually get in a fiscal year, then it's legitimate to pay for those things in that fiscal year. So pretty much that's what this is.
Yeah.
And if we did this plan, the budget would be reduced to zero, but it would be no reduction in goods and services and personnel for next year.
That's right.
So not that I'm a cynic, sorry, Rita, I'm going to jump in. These are rough estimates. I mean, it looks pretty nice that you were able to get the 495 on top and the 495 on the bottom. It looks kind of planned. And so I just want to make sure that the people in the public who are listening on realize that this is just your beginning sketch around trying to find ways that we might be able to help the current from our current savings because of the COVID-19, that we were able to kind of think about it for the next year. Once again, Ken, this is not a knock on you at all. This is just kind of making sure that people realize who are watching or listening to us to know that you are just really kind of roughly saying we could get pretty close to what we would need to kind of cover the zero or MBR. Am I correct on that?
You're exactly correct. Yes.
Kim, the two numbers that we need, and over the next couple of weeks we can do this. The top number, you might remember, there was $95,000 from health insurance, and the bottom number, yeah, there it is. Thank you. $95,000 for health insurance, and the bottom number 134. Those are the numbers that we essentially use to make it come out correctly, Kim. But we could get more precise. As you know, I want to take a look at spring sports, for example. The CIAC has in fact canceled spring sports, so we can definitely move forward with that. I'd want to talk to Ted and Mark Romano to see what sort of money is left. There's typically money left in the athletic supply account, even from the winter.
Yeah.
So we could do a more precise job in answer to your question, Kim. This was for.
It wasn't about it being a precise job. It was just that I think that how I'm perceiving this document is that this is sort of what the town council has brought us down to. I mean, we have the RTM to go, and they might give us our money back. I don't believe that that's going to be true, but that you were just saying that this is the 495 that we would need. That brings us down to zero, and these are kind of ways that we could bring it to that. So I'm just once again, I just wanted to I just wanted to have a thought about that. Gretchen does have a question. I'll just read it, Gretchen, but you can add on to it. How will staff who are getting very sick from COVID-19 affect our health insurance account?
Well, of course, we don't know. We don't know the answer to that. And, you know, I don't want to be too dramatic, but or calm people down too much. But we've had some staff I know that have been ill with flu-like symptoms, and they've been, I know in one case, tested and it was negative. I think, you know, we will have people who are going to be ill. But I think moving forward, I think we should we should be able to handle this within our, you know, those teachers who need to come offline for a while will be covered by substitutes, and Susan has land for that. And I don't think that will negatively impact the budget.
Jay has 2 questions.
Yes, hi. Ken, you referenced something about a federal law that is going to come into play with the bus contract. So the bus company completely laid off, as far as I know, all of the drivers.
You're right.
So obviously, they're not carrying a payroll. At first, I was not too happy about that. But I guess with what's going on with Congress, you know, they're going to get some extra reimbursement through the stimulus payment. But I guess my question is, why wouldn't we be entitled to some relief given the huge payroll that they're saving?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So what we understand so far is that there's language in the CARES Act that states that we must continue to pay our contractors. But you're right. I think there might be some opportunity to negotiate what that payment is. But you know, at this point, it remains a question. But I would think that we're going to have to pay STA something for the remaining contract. Just don't know what it is.
Well, again, this is Jay speaking. I know that they obviously have made a huge investment in buses that we require them to replace every few years. They obviously maintain buildings and that sort of thing. But you know, the fact that they took immediate advantage of putting everybody out on unemployment, you know, I certainly would be hope that they'd be open to that. The other, my second question was, so the government should be reimbursing for some of our supplies, if I understand correctly. So when we start looking at these savings for this year, are we maintaining some sort of separate account for what we know will be reimbursable? Or can we expect to see more savings in the cleaning supplies and other things that will be reimbursed by the federal government down the road?
Yeah. When we identify items that are that we're purchasing in response to this, we are identifying them in our GL with COVID-19, so that we can pull out, you know, what are we incurring due to this, so that if there's a reimbursement, we can show what we have incurred. That's not represented here at all.
If I might interject,
I know this is a changing thing, but I thank you for all the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Jay, I just wanted to say that our department is keeping track of all the supplies and equipment that we're buying that is directly related to the COVID-19 situation.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Do we have questions from other board members? Rita?
Well, my first one was Gretchen asked it. My second one is about the bus contract. I know that at Learn, some of the towns were discussing that it would be better just to pay out the contract till the end of the year, till June. Otherwise, you'd be helping to pay unemployment through the summer. Is there anything about that in the new act that came out?
I don't have, I've only gotten a brief on what that act is. I don't have that level of detail. I'm sorry, but I can look into that and report.
Okay. And I have another meeting with Learn tomorrow, so I'll ask them what, there was a whole group of towns that were also were part of STA. So we'll see
So
what that looks
I
like.
believe this is also part of our meeting for the negotiations, looking at that contract as well.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Thanks.
Liz, I know that you just sent me a chat and that you're losing power. Is there any question that you have? And if you do, and you lose power and you can't stay on, feel free to give me a text and I will read your text to the group.
Okay, thanks, Kim.
You got it, my friend. Any other questions from the board about the topic of the budget review? If you do and I'm not able to hear your voice, feel free to chat if you can, and then I will try to pick you up. All right, hearing none. I believe that this is from came out of the Finance and Building Committee. So Mike and Jay, I would love to kind of hear about this from you guys.
I think we have to do the CIP first.
Didn't we? Oh, Rita.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. So this was also part of our Saturday event with the town council. And I'm going to let Sam and Mike, I think that there's a couple of changes that they made with the CIP. And I'll let you and Sam, Mike, take over the conversation.
Sure. So there were 4 CIPs that were proposed by the town manager. The first one had to do with moving the portables, and we explained that we were hoping that the portables would be left on site. At least the Cutler one, Cutler 2 portables, and would stay on site at Cutler, and the one at Westside would stay there. The architects for the new school said that was not possible. So the request that looked like 125,000, we had to add on some additional money for moving them, and so we explained that we need these portables, and if we don't move them, they're going to be demolished. So the board, the town council approved the construction. Sam figured it cost about $125,000 to build the foundations for these, and the cost of moving them was picked up by the town as part of the building project for the 2 new elementary schools. So they approved $155,000, and that will cover the cost of moving and setting them up, probably at the central office. We have to work on the details for this, but work on it relatively quickly because they need to be moved by July. We need to get this thing going, because otherwise they're going to be demolished. So we have at least the town council approved $155,000. The second one had to do with Northeast Academy. There was an engineering study that recommended $104,000, but Sam had already cleaned out the ductwork for $20,000. So I told the town council we only need 84, not 104, and they approved that. The third one was we asked for the dishwashers so that we could switch over to using fiberglass trays and metal utensils. They approved all of that for the high school, middle school already have new ones. The 2 new elementary schools will have them. So it's just for the high school, Charles Barnum, Catherine Kolnowski, and Northeast Academy. And the last one, Sam, was, help me out, please.
The last one?
I can't remember.
Video surveillance.
Oh, the video surveillance. Yeah, they approved the video surveillance for the high school and the 3 elementary schools that will still exist, because the new middle school already has it, and the 2 new elementary schools will have the video surveillance. So we actually got all 4 items. And by the way, my note says, although I haven't seen it published yet, that Saturday the 4th, the RTM is going to have an education committee meeting. Saturday the 11th, the full RTM, and then Saturday the 18th, the final vote by the RTM. That's what they said at the meeting. So as soon as I get the word, I will publish it.
So the 4th is when the RTM meets with the education committee meets with the Board of Ed.
That's what I thought I heard John Burt say. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, that will be an interesting virtual meetings, because it's such a large body.
Yeah. It's going to be a real problem.
Yep. All right. Any questions about the CIPs? So, actually, I do have a question about the CIP, Sam, and we did get. Oh, good. Liz is back. We did get the dishwashers, but none of that CIP covers the equipment and the labor for that stuff. So how do we go about having dishwashers and getting the necessary dishes and glasses and silverware, etc.?
My thought is that we ask Ernie to put a proposal together. We have to staff this out. We haven't done that yet.
Okay. So,
actually, we do have an estimate on what it would cost to do that, and I sent it to Jay the other day. I was trying to find it on my phone, but I don't see that at the moment. Yeah, trays and silverware were estimated about $9,000 to $10,000, and labor, the additional labor that it would take to do the dishwashing would be between $96,000 and $100,000 per year.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we might want to tell that to the RTM, because we don't have $100,000 in that enterprise fund extra.
Right. So maybe I don't know, board members, how you feel about that, but that's quite a cost. And Sam, could you talk about what they are using for more environmentally friendly products at the present moment?
Yeah, we had to stop using the styrofoam trays. So Ernie has gone to a paper product, a paper-based product, and that is going to cost us in the range of about $30,000 a year if we continue that. So some of these other numbers will be offset by the cost of doing the paper products too.
So I think that was your question, right? Is how do the disposable equate with getting the water and the
how much does it cost us per year for the disposable plates, and how does that equate with the cost of washing the new plates, etc.? I seem to have lost myself.
Do we have a question, or is that, Sam, did you kind of answer that when you said it was $1,000 for paper?
Yeah, it's in the $30,000 range that we're going to be paying now for the paper product versus the paper-based product versus the styrofoam. Again, just to repeat that the numbers that I gave you before, the $9,000 to $10,000 number for the trays and silverware, that's a one-time cost. Whereas the additional labor in the kitchen doing the additional work would be about $96,000 to $100,000 a year per year.
Right. Yeah, I think I got that. Jay, you have a question?
Hello.
Yes, hi, this is Jay speaking. So I believe you may recall I brought this up at the last meeting, and so I was surprised that the town council so blithely approved this CIP without any discussion, because I was concerned about the purchase of the equipment, then the maintaining of the equipment, and then the supplies, and not only the initial purchase of the trays and the flatware, but obviously there's going to be shrinkage, so replacement of that. And do we know if all of that, in terms of the cost of the labor, does that include all the taxes and other employee benefits?
Jay, I think that that's a really good question. And I think that I actually am in favor of Dr. Grenier's suggestion, which is to let the RTM know that we're not ready to staff or fund the dishwashing program at those 3 schools.
However, that would be in violation of the town council's ordinance. So I believe they would have to be requested to waive us.
Well, I think we could do paper products, can't we, Jay? We just can't do styrofoam and plastics.
Which is my understanding as well, but maybe we need to get clarification, and I'd be willing to do that.
Okay.
This can, and maybe we should do an analysis, because according to my records, we spent around between $95,000 to $100,000 for the styrofoam in 2019. So the styrofoam, and then the paper is an additional $30,000. So I think I'm looking at a $130,000 that's going to be offset by this labor number, which we do have to understand if it includes payroll taxes and anything else. But this might be a wash.
No pun intended.
Yeah. Yes. But I think an analysis should be done. I'll reach out to Ernie to get that total analysis done.
Great.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other conversation about the CIPs? All right, Jay and Mike, you guys are on about the Malone and McBroom.
Okay. Well, you want me to start, Jay?
Oh, yes, please.
One of the steps that we need to take, of course, with the 3 schools that are closing, Claude Chester, SB Butler, and Mary Morrison, we need to establish neighborhood catchment areas for those 3 schools. And I started with the transportation staff, and I realized that I didn't have good enough demographic information, and I remember that Mike Zuba, who had done all the work, Mike Zuba from Malone and McBroom, he had really specific information about residences and so forth. And so I called him and I asked him for a proposal, because I knew he has all the demographic, he has the maps and he has the demographic information. And he gave me a proposal that basically, well, it was going to be a 2-month timeline. So this whole thing has come to a screeching halt. But he would be able to allow us to draw neighborhood catchment areas, because we are not allowed to assign children on the basis of race, but we have to have racially balanced schools. And I remember when he was talking about his earlier work, he had very specific information that way. So I called him, and so he gave me this proposal, which I wanted the board to consider, and I will email it to you. Basically, he would be able to make that study, draw maps, and reestablish neighborhood catchment areas for those 3 schools, which would then become 2 schools. And the total cost was, he estimated it'd be an hourly thing, but he said it could add up to like 15,000. I think this is important work that needs to be done carefully, because the school being built at the Cutler site, of course, is a diversity school, and that's why we're getting 80% funding. So it's mandatory that school will be racially balanced. But again, federal government, U.S. Supreme Court ruled against assigning children on the basis of race. So somehow we have to achieve this racial balance, but not use student racial data by assigning. But Mike has a way of doing it by neighborhood, by address, and so I think it'd be very important for us to work with him. Plus, he knows the district and he knows the neighborhoods extremely well. And that's basically what I explained to the finance committee.
Dave, could you weigh in from your conversation at the finance?
Right. So obviously, it's the prerogative of the board as a whole to make a decision about this. But I would say the consensus at the finance committee was that given that he already holds all of the historical knowledge and detailed information, he would be able to come up to speed much more quickly than bringing somebody brand new in. Then we'd have to completely bring them up to speed on the history of this.
Are there board members who would like to weigh in on this?
Can you see me, Kim?
Yes, Rita.
I'm in the dark. We probably have a lot of that information already, but I agree that I think it's very important that since he does have all the layout of the town, that we go ahead and approve that study.
Now,
but I do think we have some of those maps. I remember, all that information that he presented, and to the town, because he did it to we would do it at the town also, the town level.
He did it at the 2020. So I think that the 2020 had a lot of that, had a
Yes.
lot of those maps.
Right.
Liz, would you like, Liz? I don't know if you're trying to talk. Liz, I don't know if you're unmuted.
Here I am.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. I was just wondering if any of that information is available through the Census Bureau. I know the data then would probably be kind of old. I just thought about that just a second ago. Never mind. I was just wondering.
If you didn't
Sometimes my
answer,
brain
if you didn't answer it, I would have said, talk to Liz Porter. She'll give you the answer.
Yeah, well, you and I have to talk later, Dr. Grenier. Okay. I'm good.
So one of the things that we're getting a lot of feedback, and so if you are not talking, feel free to mute your microphone because we're getting all the outside information, all the surrounding sounds of your house, and it helps with the feedback.
I have something to say.
Oh, Gretchen.
Hi. If we have to make racially balanced schools, but we have to do it without knowing what the race is of the trying to find a way to say it politely. How do we balance the schools if we can't do it with knowledge?
Well, let me explain. You can't take a group of children and say these 5 children are going to go to this school because of their race. But what you can do is do it by neighborhood. and you can say the children. Well, the way we do it, we draw neighborhood lines, and what I'm suggesting is that the neighborhood lines for Northeast Academy, Charles Barnum, and Catherine Konowski would not be changed. We would just we would take the 3 schools that have 3 catchment areas and draw them into 2 catchment areas, making sure, with Zuba's help, that we would end up with 2 racially balanced schools.
So you would take, say, you know where the Valero gas station is?
Right.
On Route 1?
I
That's
do.
behind my house.
Right.
So my house is there. You'd send my kids all the way over to
Well, your kids,
Northeast instead of to the middle school.
your kids would go to the Cutler site.
Well, then you're changing the lines.
Right, you're changing the line, you're saying.
Wait. Your kids go to Northeast now?
Yes, mine. If
Oh,
I
yeah,
had,
they would stay. They would stay at Northeast. We're not changing Northeast boundaries.
so my kids could walk Cutler.
Well, they would be eligible to. I didn't even talk about the lottery yet. They would be eligible. For the lottery.
The conversation tonight's agenda was just to see whether we wanted to move forward with the study by Malone. That's a huge conversation, Gretchen, that we need to have.
I'm very aware that that's the 3rd time we've been here 25 years, so it'll be the 3rd time this house would have changed districts.
I'm very aware of that, but tonight the agenda topic is whether we will move forward with Malone McBroom, because we do have to have long conversations about what does that look like, because I think Rita could speak to it even more. Is that how many times since I've been a board member have we had to change a district? So I think that's why it's so important for us to go with someone who can kind of help us do that in a thoughtful way versus in a willy-nilly way, if that's even a word. Any other questions in regards to whether we want to move forward with a demographic study with Malone and McBroom? Because then we'll bring that up for a vote at our regular board meeting.
I don't see that we have a choice. So yes.
All right. Any other questions about that?
No.
All right, thank you. Jay, do you I think you wanted to have one more piece of conversation?
Yeah, I'll try to keep this quick. So I didn't mean any disrespect when I said that it seems like we went through the CIPs a little quickly. That I realized the town council was in a marathon session. And I just think that all these facts weren't brought forward. And I realize that maybe we don't even have the total facts on it. I just think it's worth studying further, doing the fact finding and determining what I thought all single-use plastics were going to be banned. So I thought they wanted us to get rid of all of the plastic knives and forks and spoons. Obviously, I've got a little more studying to do on that as well. So I'm hoping maybe we can bring that up, as Dr. Grenier suggested, with the RTM.
All right. Any other conversation? Once again, this was a really kind of a special committee of the whole. Once again, just to get the board together, because this is such changing times. But we will start next week having regular board meetings or committee of the whole meeting starting on Monday at 6 o'clock. But if I don't hear any other further conversation, I would love to.
Kim, before we just jump off, is it ever possible that we could reschedule in, let's say, sometime in April, the AGSA GEA Board Liaison Committee, just to hear from the teachers? You know, I'm in the administrators, just to see how things are going with them.
I think the reason why we took it away last week was just because.
Oh yeah, last week. I just meant if we could have one in April sometime, if we could reschedule it.
All right, I'll get to
Ask Beth.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
All right. So at this point, Dr. Grenier, what I am proposing that we do is once we adjourn the meeting, to all get off, and can you then send us another invite just to the board and to the people who it's necessary to be part of the conversation, who I would assume would be Ken Knight and probably Lori Lapine and Susan.
And Susan, okay. Susan, Ken, Lori. Okay, done.
Okay, so
And the board.
board, what I'm saying is I'm going to go for an adjournment. We are going to then get off of this, and then Dr. Grenier is going to re-invite the board with Ken, Susan, and Lori Lapine so we can go into our negotiations. Does that make
Motion
sense?
to adjourn.
Wait.
Second.
Okay, so for those who didn't know, Andrea made the motion. Rita seconded it. All those in favor, please say aye, or just yeah.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kim,
All right.
Thumbs up.
All right.
Kim, it would be helpful to have Sam invited too.
Sam, please come along.
Okay, all right, I'll do it right now.
All right, guys. See ya soon.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.